In a AAA game with tons of sound effects, music, and dialogue playing simultaneously, how can you still understand what is happening? Games need to perfect their mix to prevent the audio from sounding too chaotic. And what better game to demonstrate this than Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora? Developed by Massive Entertainment and published by Ubisoft in 2023, Frontiers of Pandora was a finalist for Best Audio Mix at the Game Audio Network Guild Awards. Mixing is often underappreciated, but from improving clarity to supporting the narrative, mixing is chock full of technical and creative decisions. Welcome to Player by Ear. I'm a sound designer and all-around game audio enthusiast. Let's dive right in to the mixing of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Between weapons, dialogue, the environment, and your own footsteps, you, the player, often hear a lot at the same time. In essence, mixing is deciding how these different sounds mesh together, typically by making some louder or quieter than others. Technical sound designers work on creating a real-time mix, meaning the mix changes throughout the game, responding to different gameplay moments. Games can only get so loud before the audio starts distorting, so rather than turning up sounds that matter, games turn down sounds that don't matter. A very common method that Frontiers of Pandora uses is sidechaining. Sidechaining is essentially using one sound to affect another sound, usually by making one sound duck or dip in volume under another sound. If you've ever listened to EDM, sometimes you hear a synth pumping under a kick drum, like this. That is the exact same concept, though Frontiers of Pandora is more subtle about it. For example, in combat, the ambience and music duck under the sounds of explosions and the player's weapon. It's subtle, but here the developers wanted to emphasize the sounds of combat so the player is able to fight and react and plan to what's happening around them. However, the player isn't going to be in combat all the time, so they can't emphasize combat sounds throughout the whole game. So what else did they do? Frontiers of Pandora uses mix snapshots, or different mixes and sidechaining setups for a variety of different gameplay moments. For example, in combat, ambience and movement sounds are brought down, whereas when the player is just walking around the world, those sounds are brought up. There is one particular moment where the player needs to approach and soothe an Ikran, and it's meant to be this tense moment, so as the player gets closer, the ambience starts to get quieter, and all you hear is you and the Ikran, creating this feeling of extreme focus, suspense, and intimacy.
You're okay. Don't worry.
By mixing for different emotions in the game, Frontiers of Pandora allows the player to get a different sense of the world at different points in the game. By mixing for clarity and mixing for emotions, Frontiers of Pandora is able to craft an experience that allows players to quickly understand, react to, and plan to their environment in some gameplay moments, and just feel immersed in the story and world in others. In real life, sounds don't just become quieter and louder out of nowhere, but as Frontiers of Pandora's audio director Alex Riviere said in an interview with A Sound Effect, "At the end of the day, you're making a game, not a full-on simulation, and readability is king." That's all for this video. This was Player by Ear. Join me next week when I'll be taking a look at another game nominated for the Game Audio Network Guild Awards.